We are back now, 7:39, with a Today exclusive that all parents really need to see. Like most social media companies, Instagram is feeling the pressure when it comes to younger users and the risks they face online. And now the popular platform is making some new changes, revamping restrictions on teen accounts, including a new rating system that's guided by PG-13 movies, blocking sensitive topics like alcohol, excessive violence, and risky stunts, and preventing teenagers from following accounts that regularly share inappropriate content. And here to break it all down is the head of Instagram himself, Adam Mosseri. Adam, welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, you and I are sitting here right now because we know there is a problem in our society with the way that teenagers especially are using social media. Just yesterday in California, there was this law that was passed where they're going to slap a warning label on social media citing a profound risk of harm to the mental health and well-being of children and adolescents. What do these new tools do to address that?
So taking a quick step back, we launched teen accounts about a year ago, which are an automatic set of protections for teens on Instagram to hopefully give parents some peace of mind by addressing the top concerns that we hear from them, which are unwanted contact from strangers, overall time spent on the app, and age-appropriate content. But what is age-appropriate content? What does it even mean? So what we're announcing today is that we've revamped all of our guidelines about what teens can and cannot see on Instagram in a way that is guided by the PG-13 rating that was pioneered by the movie industry.
And it's going to start today, and it'll be rolled out to all teen accounts in this country by the end of the year. I just want to show a couple of examples.
Sure.
This is a video of LeBron James, one of the greatest players in the history of basketball. I'm 13 years old. LeBron's my favorite player. Here he is promoting Hennessy on Instagram. Under the new policy, is this blocked?
So under the new policy, promoting alcohol or tobacco is content that teens would not be able to see.
So between 13 and 17, if I follow LeBron, I don't see that ad.
That would be the case, unless you actually asked your parent for permission to what's called more content. So to be able to see all the same content that an adult could see.
Mr. Beast, one of the most famous folks on the globe, as you know. This is a video. A lot of Mr. Beast's videos are, people doing crazy stunts. This is someone literally jumping into flames. This is a risky stunt. Do I not get to see this video anymore?
For this specific video, I'm not sure because I haven't seen it before, but yes, for overly risky stunts, that is another type of content that is not aligned with the 13+ rating.
But parents don't have to
do anything. So the way it works is by default, every teen that has a teen account will be in the 13+ rating, which means that the content that they see on Instagram will largely align with a PG-13 movie. Now, like in a PG-13 movie, where you might actually occasionally hear a swear word, you will occasionally come across content that it might be risky because we either missed it or because it was said by a friend.
Yeah.
But generally, there is a lot more restrictions on what you can see.
And parents will be able to control even more things, right? There'll be more restrictions.
In both directions. So a teen is in the 13+ setting by default, and a parent can open up their content to be able to see adult content as well. Yeah. Or if they think it's appropriate for their teen, they can limit what their teen can see to what's called limited content, which is even more restrictive than 13+.
There's been a slew of reporting about these parental controls that you guys rolled out. I mean, a lot of parents, first of all, don't know that they even exist, and they certainly don't know how to use them. How do you fix that?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. We want to get the word out as best we can, but we also know, I've got 3 kids. I know parents are busy, which is why it's so important that the defaults are safe. So all teens get teen accounts by default, which also means that they only interact with largely PG-13 type content by default. But if a parent has the time, and we're trying to raise awareness around these tools, they can set up parental supervision, and they can shape the experience into what's best for their specific teen.
Last time you were here, we talked about age verification. Right. You guys know that there are a slew of people on Instagram pretending to be an age that they are not. Has that AI gotten better? Are you able to detect who's on Instagram and lying about their age?
It's gotten better, but it's not perfect. We use AI both to try and assess what content is aligned with those 13 plus policies and what content is mature. But we also use AI to try to detect who might be lying about their age by looking at who they're friends with, what they consume. Maybe they're wishing each other happy birthday or sweet 16. But it is an imperfect science that we are, I think, either the best or one of the best in the industry at, but it's not foolproof.
You've got obviously a bunch of smart people working for you, and you've got AI now, but teenagers, they're pretty smart too.
Yes.
And I want to show our viewers at home and you just some of the ways that they have worked around the AI that's being used on Instagram in terms of the language that they use. Tomato sauce means blood. Accountant means sex worker. You've got barcode, which means apparently self-harm wounds. Body dysmorphia also. How do you fix this? It seems as if you're playing this constant game of whack-a-mole. If teenagers know that there are these restrictions that exist, it would seem as if they're just coming up with new words around those.
That's true of teens and non-teens alike, that people who want to circumvent our content policies, our rules, are going to try to come up with code words that try to get around our detection, which is why, for us, the work never ends. We have to, when we identify content, do what we call fan-outs. So look at other content that is connected to it. What is the other content from that same account? What accounts do they follow? What have they posted? To try to identify these new code words or hints or ways of trying to circumvent our systems, so that we can update our systems and then be more and more safe over time.
I want to go back to the AI age verification technology, because one would presuppose if you have that technology at your disposal, you could also inform a parent if their kid is spending a lot of time looking up messages or content related to self-harm or body dysmorphia or things like that. Are we going to get to a point where Instagram actually notifies parents when their kids are looking at things online that are dangerous and harmful potentially?
So there are a couple different things we do in this space. So if a teen or anyone is looking at self-harm related content, we try to redirect them to resources. And parents now can see things like how much time their teens spend on Instagram and who their teens are messaging. But we're actively exploring ways to further extend parental controls.
But what's the argument against that? What would be the logical argument against letting a parent know that their child is at risk?
So I don't think there is I think we want parents to know. I think what we have to be careful of is the more aggressive we are about sharing with parents and the more aggressive we are about restricting down teen accounts, the more of an incentive we're creating for teens to try to lie about their age and work around it, to get a second phone, to access Instagram just through the web, to have an account that they don't tell their parents about. So it's a balance. We want to empower parents, but we also want to make sure that we're not pushing teens too hard to try and hide from their parents as well.
Lastly, your model, and not just your model, the model of all these apps, I mean, you got to keep folks engaged. You got to keep folks scrolling. That's how you make your money. How do you square that, keeping people on and by the way, we all know the more time you spend on these apps, the worse it is for your mind, especially young minds. How do you square that with what you're saying today about trying to keep kids safe? If the goal is to keep them on the app as long as possible, how do you square that?
So the goal is to create an experience that people and teens find valuable, to help teens connect with their friends, to explore their interests. Teens are at an age where they're trying to figure out who they are in the world, and exploring their interests is one of the most important ways to do that with friends. So our responsibility is to maximize positive experiences and minimize negative experiences. And so we want to make sure that we do just that and that people feel good about the time that they spend on Instagram. So we've got a lot of tools, not just for parents, but for teens directly, that try and focus the experience on what's more positive.
But you've got to keep them on the app.
Not necessarily. I mean,
that's how you make your money. You make your money when folks are scrolling, sometimes doom scrolling.
We do make money when people spend more time on Instagram overall, but overall, if it's bad for people to use the app, that has to be bad for our business over the long run. It would be short-sighted for us to try to over-optimize for something like time spent in the short term in a way that was unhealthy, because it would come back to us over the long run.
Lastly, really quickly, and this is probably a larger conversation, but as the head of Instagram, is your primary responsibility, is it to, and again, you're owned by Meta, it's $1 trillion company, is your primary responsibility to these kids we're talking about, to their parents, or is it to shareholders?
I feel like it's my responsibility to try and shepherd the app as best I can into a healthy place over the long run, which I think is going to have to require that it is a really safe experience, not only for teens, but for adults as well. I think ultimately that will be good for shareholders in the long run, and it would be short-sighted to reverse that priority.
Adam Mosseri, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.